Okay, so it's going. Fabulous. Here goes then. Hello, we're here now today to talk about Ascension forecasts. And today's going to be a strange one. It involves Indigenous DNA and turtles. And I don't think I can add much more to that. So get yourself a cup of tea and come and join us. I think sometimes when we share this stuff, it's quite hard to articulate it, given that it's from the etheric kind of realms. But equally, sometimes you have to accept that when you're on the leading edge of something, on the leading edge of energy, that sometimes we have to talk about subjects that are not fully formed, that are not completely understood. But just know that if you're joining us today, you're already integrating with the energies that we're speaking about, because our souls communicate more on an energetic level than they do word for word anyway. So you're already absorbing the information on a different level. So I'm just going to hand over to Alicia to do the introductions.
Beautiful, thank you. I'm just noticing here a little bit comment. Oh, my sisters. Oh, sorry, the comment disappeared, but she's been connecting to turtles as well. I think it was from Jenny. So how interesting. So, yeah. Welcome, beautiful souls, to the Galactic SiStars Ascension Energy Forecast. As always, we're very excited to be here with you today. And if you're connecting with us for the first time, my name is Alicia with my mom, Eva, co-creatrixes of Crystalline Ascension with our Galactic sister, Trudy, White Star Soul Guidance. And if you're catching the live on YouTube or here on Zoom with us, please do say hello in the comments, and would love you for you to share your New Earth mission or your New Earth vision in the comments or in the chat. And a warm welcome to those of you who are watching the replay. So please do hashtag replay, so that way we can circle back around later on and say hello. And you're welcome to put in your New Earth vision as well. We invite you to join us here on our Ascension Energy Forecast, as we're going to be sharing each time we come on here the quantum 5D ingredients available that you can connect with, to connect with the energies and for you to embody them. And then we're going to also discuss the priority, the 5D soul lesson of the week, the challenges we're facing, and the strengths and the frequencies that we can draw upon. And of course, we're facilitating this to accelerate the ascension path for those interested in being a New Earth leader, a New Earth visionary through collaboration.
Excellent. So again, I just want to emphasize that today is really a kind of a frequency connection. So we'll use the best words that we can to describe it, but please do type into the comments what comes up for you, how you're connecting to the energy that we're sharing today. So this week, we started off with the question about 3D abundance, which really is money. And we've realized now that we've just got to call it money, no more sort of love and lighting it into abundance. Let's just call it money. Let's call it what it is. But also it led us on a turtle journey, which we'll share in a little bit when we get to the strengths, because that is one of the strengths that we now have to draw on. So we've over the weeks been talking a lot about the physicality of things, and the DNA, the Earth, new atoms and elements and oxygen particles that are all coming up. And I think this is all kind of tying in, or starting to tie in now finally. When we first started talking about this, it didn't really make an awful lot of sense, but I think I'm starting to see the pattern of how this is pulling together. So we often tune into the higher realms when we're looking for guidance, yeah? And we're sort of asking for our higher self to give us insights, to show us how to get abundance. But what's really becoming more important is how there is an untapped intelligence within our body, within our DNA. And this is part of that heaven on earth shift, that bringing the power to the human body and not just looking outside of ourselves for all the answers all the time. So we know that there's been an ascension particle that came to sort of take our physical bodies out of the 3D structure into the 5D. We also know that bones have been coming up a lot, reminding us how our DNA lives on the planet way after we've passed away, and that it kind of goes into this cyclic passing on of information, because as new people are born and as new plants are grown and we eat the plants, this DNA is constantly flowing through the structure of the planet and back into us. And we know that if you take some bones and you look at the DNA within a bone, you can tell where the person was, what they ate, what their genetic makeup was. So we know there's a lot of information in that. So this week's soul lesson off the back of that is basically saying to believe in the power of spirit to show you the way. And I'd like to emphasize that spirit here is more perhaps the divine, and this divine is that integration of heaven and earth, that higher self and the physical DNA. and it's to trust that to show us the way. So it's kind of encouraging us to transcend what the physical world limitations are, what we perceive them as, and allow us to expand our consciousness into infinite possibilities, but not just on a higher self, but on what our physical bodies can do as well. And combining this within the quantum universe to terraform what we want. Yeah, manifesting, terraforming, these kind of abilities to create with our creative energy is what we're talking about here. And last week we spoke more on the changes in our manifestation abilities based on the iron grid and magnetic changes in the body. So this really, to me, is a radical type of manifesting. It's not about me manifesting money now. It's about me manifesting a world where money might not even matter anymore. It's not about me manifesting a home. It's about me manifesting homelessness across the planet. It's taking our manifestations into a bigger realm, and outside of all the limits that we've been told about are the limits of being in 3D. So we also mentioned last week that if you were, say if your money awareness was in a different dimension, so say you're 7, 12 deep type being that had come back to this planet, then if you were manifesting abundance, then you might get new downloads, new energetic frequencies and new insights, but that wasn't money. But it is abundance in that realm. So it's just understanding that what we call abundance, which is why we're saying let's come back to money and call it the physical resource of money as well. So what's the challenge to us actually trusting ourselves and believing that we have everything we need to do what we're about to do? Well, it's about us recognizing our inner potential and believing it and trusting it, and knowing that we are capable to respond to life in ways we probably can't imagine. You look back at all the challenges you've had in your life and see how you overcome them. Then let's go back even further and look at how we overcome disasters, how we've overcome changes, other ecological changes, other humanity changes. You know, look back at the wars and how we overcame that. Humanity has this ability, like an inbuilt survival mechanism, and that isn't necessarily coming from the higher dimensions. I think that's coming from within the body. And we might not have always done it in a way that honored our integrity, but we are moving into the sort of 5-dimensional shift that we're doing is moving into doing all of this with much more integrity to our soul. So it's looking past the illusions of what we see the 3D world and asking, what one thing would really help you right now? And asking, what is the thing, like, call it what it is. If you want to be greedy and ask for money, be greedy and ask for money, but really focus on that ability to name what you want right now, to give it a name and to give it a meaning. And if you want to type it into the comments and share so we can see what you guys are all coming up with. So when we were having a conversation on Friday about this, we spoke about money, and we had this kind of conversation about, was it actually, like, do we see money as equaling abundance? And when we checked into that, we got a no. And then we asked, well, what does money represent? What does money bring to us on a different level? So I asked the question, like, if you had no money, if money was taken out of the picture and it wasn't the need for money that you needed, what's left? What is your world like? What are you creating? What are you wanting? What are you desiring in your life? So again, if you want to type.
I think for me, it was about, it would be very boring and empty. Right?
Yeah, and that is what some people perceive, I think. Yeah, for sure. So Jenny's got health and my new house. So both of those things are really more related to security. Marta wants time. But you don't want time though, do you? You want free time, I'm guessing, or more time to do other things. Have one of you guys got eyes on YouTube?
Yeah, there's nothing there.
That's okay, just in case mine's not working
I'll
properly.
let you know.
Cool. So what we're doing is imagining there's no money in the world at all, or at least the need for money is gone. What is the thing that we want? Exactly. So freedom is coming out. Free time, free health is freedom. Go where I want to go when I want to go. So all of this is a form of security. It's kind of knowing that you'll always have a roof over your head, knowing you'll always have food, knowing that you'll always have what you need for your health when you need it. These are freedoms or securities, but they're just resources. So yes, we now need money to pay for those resources in the world that we're in, but that doesn't make money the resource we need. Money is the infrastructure that is how we get the resources we want. And that infrastructure was created by us because money is man-made. So if we now go back and think about how important is money in our human existence, let's roll back time and go back, say, to medieval times. There wasn't as much money in the world, but it did still have an importance. It was still collected. It was still exchanged for food. But you go all the way right back then to the cavemen, like our very first existence. We managed to survive without money. And this is kind of where our strength is going to lead into now, is when we understand that the money bit is a structure, then what we should be manifesting is the things that the money facilitates underneath. And to do that, what we have to do is almost ignore the whole structure of money to be able to get into the energies of what we really want. And this is where it comes back to our DNA, because it's our DNA that allowed the caveman to be able to know how to survive in those environments, right? So then it'd be no surprise that the strength this month that we've ended up leading into was the indigenous tribes. And for me, I think the indigenous tribes really represented the ability to have that shamanistic connection to the spirit world, but also at the same time connect into abundance. They made their homes, they made their tribes, they made their food, they had a very integral relationship with their natural world. They used their spiritual abilities, but they did it all. Yes, there was bartering and trading, but you can imagine that life now. So I'm asking you now, just imagine what it might have been like in those times and just sense into your body how your body responds to that. Is there a kind of a relief where you go, yeah, I think I could handle that world better than our current world? Or do you still prefer the trappings and the elements that we have in our current world more, like the internet and the transportation and the traveling, you know? So just sense into your bodies and see how that feels. Relief, Jenny's saying. So what I want us to do is to imagine what we're about to speak about as being that kind of frequency. So we've been led by a turtle to go and release DNA of indigenous tribes, hence why I was talking about DNA in the beginning. It's almost like this DNA is in the soil, and we've been asked to kind of re-invite it to waken up our survival DNA, but it's not the survival in a panicky kind of way, but just our ability to survive and thrive without money and without some of the external aspects that we currently think we need, and to activate that and bring those codes forwards, and they become the creation codes. So we started off by going on a ride with a turtle. So I think that's where Eva can hand over and explain what she saw and why we ended up on the turtle. And imagine that this turtle is representing a frequency, just to get the feel of where this might go.
All right, you want me to go?
Yeah.
All right, so yeah, so I had a dream, and this time I didn't shove my dream away. I was riding on a huge prehistoric turtle, and it was going down in murky water. And at that point I sort of stopped, because I remembered that murky water was not always a good thing if you dreamt of murky water, but nonetheless I felt that there was something far more important going on there. So that's when I brought it out to my Galactic SiStars that I saw a prehistoric turtle. We have to go back, and it's always lately it's been back to the primordial times. Like I just keep I feel like that's where we're doing most of our work. We're starting off at the primordial times, and then we're moving forward. So what happened is that we got onto this turtle, and it was almost like it was going deep, deep, deep down into the abyss of the ocean. And then at the abyss of the ocean, there was another layer. There was the floor of the ocean, and then we had to go further down. And this is where we came upon a beautiful, beautiful land, it looked like, filled with dust diamonds. And I just feel like, I think I'm going to tell more about the story after, but what I felt like is like what's happening with the DNA shifting within inside of me, it's really beginning to filter more ancient wisdom, more remembrances to keys and higher dimensions of consciousness. So it's really, it's almost becoming habitual now, right? Where I'm checking in with the body and I'm checking in with the planetary work. It's like, you started from, what is this? I don't even understand it, to now you're asking questions, and you're almost like it's becoming a part of my, like DNA, right? A part of my everyday life, and just asking the questions for the physical and the planetary. So I'm going to just leave it at that for now.
Cool. And the funny thing is that the day after we did this journey, I ended up seeing an article that said that there is an ocean underneath the crust of the earth, but it's not in water form, it's in sludge mud form. And that was kind of like, that's what Eva saw. So it's quite interesting. None of us are scientists, and yet we are seeing now some scientific backup to what we're seeing. And it's this kind of, this ancient ocean underneath the crust that is in this kind of sludge format is releasing codes and opening up energies for us to access, which is impacting our DNA. And yes, I'm not a scientist to know exactly how the DNA comes out of the ground and starts impacting us as humans, but I'm sure we'll find that next. But that's what I'm saying, is kind of like a trusting what's happening, because our human bodies need to evolve to hold more of the light. We're at that point now, we're at a crux where a lot of people are tired, exhausted, feeling sick, and it's because their human bodies need to catch up now to hold more of the light. And I think we had the Emerald Green Order coming online a couple of weeks ago. That frequency was trying to help us learn how to be that combination. And now this Indigenous wisdom is coming to the surface. So Alicia, did you have a section to share?
I think for myself, when I first began starting to tune into it or receive these really specific downloads in regards to working on the human bodies or the planetaries, really cellular structure or the DNA, I would jot down these downloads, and I really wouldn't go more further into it. So that was in the very beginning times when I was starting to get messages of the soul technology or the architecture that needed to that I needed to facilitate, but I just didn't really know how. I didn't really have that full remembrance type thing. But I feel that the more and more I've integrated more of my divinity and anchored it more into my body, my physical body, I'm now starting to receive or just kind of connect and communicate automatically with the new light architecture that's coming in, and having that awareness that the DNA field and those core foundations is very critical to building stronger structures within and upon Mother Earth for both of us, for humanity and Mother Earth to receive more light and ascend within this physical body as it keeps evolving. It's allowing us to ascend in the physical body.
And it's interesting because, as I say, we've been cosmic for quite a while, and then suddenly very primordial, elemental, atomic levels since. And it's affected our work as well, hasn't it? It's kind of changed the way, and rather than change, it's added layers to what we do that we wouldn't have normally done. How has that shown up for you?
I think just like what I thought, that we're able to go more deeper. So it's not even where before I would but I would connect in, go into sacred silence and just kind of connect to communicate, where now it's just coming through like it's just a natural part of my wisdom that I hold. And it's just that remembrance or that knowingness that's just coming through. And I'm really diving deep into it now. So that's the difference. It's unlocking so much, like Eva had said before, unlocking that wisdom within you.
Cool. So for me, as an intelligence description, unless Eva, did you have something to add?
No.
I heard a click. That's why I thought I'd look up. So what we're finding, for me, to translate these frequencies into words, is this it's almost like connecting back to that wisdom of being an indigenous soul living on the planet in that way, where if you could unplug from needing money, unplug from the structures you see around you now and see through it, like pulling it apart like curtains. And if you could see that doesn't matter what happened in the craziness that's happening today, that your consciousness would create everything you needed in a different way. Admittedly, you know, we've got to let go of the attachments to the current. We might not have pools, we might not have cars, we might go back to living in huts, but does it really matter if we're happy? It's that kind of letting go that we have to go through. But once we've got the other side of that, how if you can really truly believe that you have that knowledge deep within your DNA to survive and to build a community and to do that kind of lifestyle, then I think it'll free you up to abundance on all levels. Because, you know, whenever you're kind of like on a scale, it's like a seesaw. If you're too much tipped one way, then you're going to be slightly out of alignment with what your soul wants. You want to get this balance where you could be this or you could be that. And then you get the choice rather than being stuck in, I can only live in a 3D world with money. I don't know how to live without money. And then you take it out and say, well, actually, yeah, I do know how to live without money. I know how to grow plants. I know how to create food from nothing. I know how to get in touch with people without telephones, and you know, and it's just getting back to that kind of feeling. It doesn't mean we have to go back to that form of living, but getting back to that knowledge that we do have that'll then hopefully bring us back into the natural rhythms of the planet and being able to tune more into Mother Earth's abilities to support us in what we're doing. So how does that all feel to you guys listening? As I say, it's a bit odd this week because the turtle is bringing in that Indigenous tribe code. And this was the answer to how do we become more abundant? That's the weird thing. It's like, how do we become more abundant? You need to activate your Indigenous DNA. You're like, okay. And we've all been riding on turtles ever since. But the interesting thing is that the turtle is the name that the Indigenous tribes called Earth. And we all know the Discworld and the Terry Pratchett kind of references, which that kind of built, the stories were built on that concept. So the turtle of being Earth kind of really fitted as well. But we've also been seeing things like there was a article about how a cosmic star brings oxygen to the planet, which goes back to the Ascension particle that we've been talking about. We saw sort of corals and things interacting with slime, and then I saw that on the TV the next day and how that all worked together. So it's this kind of ancient codes bubbling up to allow us then to connect to a different type of abundance. And yeah, we still call it money if we want, but it's on a different level. It's almost like pulling yourself back and disconnecting from this 3D structure, the institutions, the way that it all operates. If we want to manifest a new Earth, then we have to detach from all that first in order to be able to go forward again. So we're coming up to the end. Is there anything else you guys want to add? Have I missed anything? No. So the soul lesson was that we need to trust in this spirit. So it's kind of going back to that internal knowing that we know how to get through this. And that also includes we know how to manifest what we want. The challenge is overcoming this 3D structure that we're so attached to and so embedded in, and being able to dissolve it and walk through it so that we can start seeing that it's not as such a rigid structure as we think it is. And the strength that we have is this activation of our DNA on an Indigenous level. Didn't you say, Alicia, that you've noticed a lot of posts over the weekend since we did this work last Friday that are coming up with the same kind of references?
Yeah, it was very interesting. Even before our journey, my eldest son had a dream of being in an Indigenous school, but he said the school was in the sky. So it was very interesting that it was more of like that galactic Indigenous kind of ancestral type feel. And he was learning different stuff from there. Then we had this whole journey. At that time, it was turtle, then to Indigenous. And then I saw some posts over the weekend in regards to the beautiful shamans, or I think it was the mother shamans coming back and the original 13 original tribes coming and being awakened and gathering in ceremony. And that's exactly how this space felt. I think for how that space felt as the Indigenous DNA awakened. Mom can share her visuals if she'd like to after, but that feeling was that feeling of purity, equality, very like honesty, like it was very honorable, and it was just so pure. I can't explain how pure that feeling felt and how it looked, but that is the feeling that this Indigenous DNA brings forward and that has awakened and has come to the surface, and of them reclaiming that Indigenous DNA, reclaiming their sovereignty once again. And it almost felt like that life has been reclaimed, that wholeness has been reclaimed. So it goes way above and beyond. So Mom, I don't know if you want to share a little bit about the more visuals that you had saw.
Sure. So when I went to the space beneath the floor of the ocean, like I said, it was like an abyss, and there was another land of like sandy diamonds. And as I looked more closely and more clearly, I noticed that it was turtles, humongous turtles that covered like in a whole planet of Earth, right? And once we released the blockages that we needed to release, I saw the turtles actually rise up on their feet, and they started to move forward and walk very slowly, right? Slow and steady wins the race. That's what came to me at that time. So, and it seemed like you know, they went from the trance state and into actually slowly ascending upon the Earth. And like when I read later on that the turtle is thought to be the balance such as heaven and earth, and this is what we're doing, right? This is what we're trying to create every day in our lives. So after we were done our session and everything, the turtle didn't leave me, because once the turtle went on the Earth, it said, you aren't done yet. So Trudy and Alicia, we're not done yet. And it really showed me that that we have to look through the eyes of the turtle. So, and what they were basically showing me was what Earth looked like before man came, and then sort of like after man came, and then the cutting off the trees and the slowly, I don't want to say the evolution of the land, but yet after the evolution came almost like the destruction of the land. And it's really like, it's going in for, right, going back to the Earth and being thankful to the Earth, taking better care of the Earth. So I just really think that it's reminding us that we need to honor the Earth and take better care of it. And I think that's another level that we're probably going to explore on one of our Friday soul journeys. Yeah.
Yeah. And just to summarize, you know, when we do this work on a Friday, it's often rarely for us as individuals. We end up seeing sceneries and visuals that are kind of terraforming, I guess, and we then do the terraforming, and then we sit back and we watch to see what comes up on Facebook, what other people are posting. And if we see that this information is appearing more, or like on TV, then we know that we must have shifted some energies on the planet for this to be moving into that direction. And then we come here on a Monday to tell you that this energy now is available for you to start tuning into. And, you know, even if you don't quite get the fullness of what we're saying tonight, just know that it's a new level of feeling comfortable on Earth as a spiritual being, that kind of heaven on earth, bringing it into your body and feeling grounded, that you can survive, even if our current things are taken away, our mobile phones, internets, that kind of stuff. I'm not saying, you know, everything, but we could survive without those. That's the kind of Lemuria kind of past that we all know about. And not to give away your power to scarcity, consciousness and fear right now, but to see through that and to know that this new DNA is coming. It's not news, this old DNA is coming back to help us now, support us through the next phases that we're going through on the evolution as our higher consciousness and our multidimensional soul returns to our bodies. So that's it for today. So I'll just hand over to Eva.
Wonderful. So thank you everyone for sharing your time with us. If there's anything that you would like us to talk about, please put it in the chat. And those who signed up on the Zoom link can remain with us, as we're going to do a quick meet and greet, a little bit of a chat. And there are several ways that you can stay connected with us, and all the links will be in the description area. If you like any more guidance working with things that we covered today, get in touch with us and we can maybe perhaps discuss your challenges. But once again, The three of us are so thankful for sharing your time with us, and we send you with great gratitude and much love till next time.
Thank you, guys. So bye to you too, but we're staying on Zoom to talk and have a little bit of a mastermind and brainstorm. Thanks, guys. Bye.